News of the day. We're just hours away from Donald Trump being sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. Last night, the president-elect took a victory lap with supporters at a rally where he gave a glimpse of what to expect in his first few days in his second administration. Taking a live look at the Capitol right now, where the president-elect will be sworn in a few hours. Trump plans to sign around 200 executive orders ranging from diversity hiring programs to oil drilling and immigration. He's also expected to launch a series of immigration raids in cities across the country this week. Joining us now is U.S. Representative for New York's 1st Congressional District, Nick LaLota. Nick, good to see you. How are you?
Good morning, great to be on with you, Chris.
Hey, I know it's a big day. Let's set the stage out there. Just how impactful will this day be as Donald Trump becomes president once again now for the second time?
Yeah, while the temperatures here in Washington, D.C. are low, about 15 degrees right now as we speak, morale and energy are quite high. I attended several inauguration balls and festivities last night, and folks are eager to put this great country back on the right track. You mentioned a couple of priorities President Trump will have in his first couple of minutes in office, focusing on the economy, on our border, and other things on which he has campaigned, and he wants to deliver on those promises right away, Chris.
Let me talk to you. I know that obviously the border is first and foremost on a lot of people's minds. I know the economy, though, that really, people may say border, but it's really all about the economy. That's what it always comes down to. Your constituents, what's the first order of business they'd like to see this president address?
Yeah, I represent a suburban New York district, the east end of Long Island. A lot of folks who live paycheck to paycheck, just looking to make ends meet. And there are large national issues that divide the parties, but folks are trying to work across the aisle to make things more affordable for my constituents back home. First on the president's agenda with respect to that is energy exploration and extraction. The safe and clean removal of energy that's beneath our feet to lower the price that it takes to drive our cars and heat our homes. That's the first thing on the president's agenda.
Congressman, let me ask you about taxes, though, because I know SALT taxes are something we've talked about a lot since 2017 with the original Trump tax cuts. Hurts a lot of people in your community, and I'm sure they would love to see those reversed. I know the drumbeat is getting louder and louder to potentially lift that cap. Where do you see that going, and how quickly can people, hopefully, because now that there are so many people talking about it on both sides of the aisle, how soon do we see some action on that?
Yeah, the fight is on for a higher SALT cap. My colleagues like Mike Lawler and Andrew Garbarino and Tom Kean and Young Kim and I are leading that fight to have a much higher cap on the state and local tax deduction. I represent a district in a state that has the highest taxes in the entire nation. I hope that my friends and colleagues across the aisle in Albany help try to remedy the high taxes and spending in New York State. But the federal government ought to be a part of the solution, too, and we need a higher cap. We should expect the rubber to meet the road here in March or April with a bona fide tax bill, extending the good provisions of that 2017 Trump tax cut, including lower individual rates and a fix on AMT. But we need to get SALT right. I'm proud that the president has committed during the course of his campaign to a higher cap on SALT, and he hasn't backed away from it. I was in Mar-a-Lago a week or two ago with the president, and he's all in to have a SALT fix in this tax bill.
I think that'll make a lot of people very happy. As it relates to the immigration raids that so many people have been talking about, including Tom Homan, who's been obviously out in front of this since he's basically spearheading this effort. As far as how you see these raids or roundups, whatever you want to call them, being executed in the air, have you been given any kind of warning of, okay, this is exactly the plan, this is how it's going to happen, or are we all going to basically be kind of surprised when this finally happens in the next couple of days or a couple of weeks, whenever that may be?
Well, I don't know that surprise is the right word. The president campaigned on securing the border and fixing the illegal immigration that has plagued our nation over the last couple of years, and he has committed to that. And I think that the best place to start is with those folks who are in our country illegally and committing violent crimes as well. Tens of thousands just in the New York area. There's a lot of work to get to right away. After that, those who are in our country merely here for the taxpayer-funded free stuff, the free hotels, the free health care, things like that are paid for by law-abiding, hard-working Americans. I think there's a lot of work to be done there in a bipartisan consensus to ensure that that's where the problem starts to get fixed.
Yeah, when I was alluding to surprise, I was not talking about the efforts. I was talking about the execution of the efforts. Even Tom Homan saying yesterday that some legal immigrants may get kind of caught up in all this. So I know that's obviously something you don't want to see, or anyone wants to see, the legal immigrant. But this is really kind of aimed and targeted at the worst of the worst, the people that are driving the crime rates up and literally, scaring people to ride the subway or walk the streets of New York.
Yeah, $5 billion is what New York endeavors to spend on aiding illegal immigration here in the tri-state area. That's too much. I'd rather see that money go to tax relief and infrastructure and schools. And the federal government should do its part to help ensure that that burden is not passed upon state and local governments. I think the Trump administration is right to get underway on it right away.
Nick, let me also ask you about something, Congressman, that obviously affects your constituents first and foremost, congestion pricing. The president has expressed an interest in reversing it. I know he can't just rubber stamp a reversal of it, but what actions can he take if he really wants to do away with it?
Yeah, the understanding is there's authorities within the Federal Transportation Authority to reverse some of the underlying foundations and underpinnings that gave the state government the authority to do it. Of course, my constituents disapprove overwhelmingly of Kathy Hochul and state Democrats' implementation of that congestion tax. It's a punitive measure on Long Islanders and those who live in the suburbs of New York City. We need to get it done. The easiest and best way is for Hochul and her allies in Albany to reverse it. But if they can't get it done, the federal government should help us step in as well.
And final question before I let you go. I know you had a number of tickets. You've got a number of constituents that are in D.C. for the inauguration, probably not thrilled with the fact that it's been moved indoors. Now that their tickets are strictly commemorative, you're having a big watch party for them somewhere. What do you do to make them happy that they've already made the trip?
Yeah, so a lot of them, some canceled their trip, but many continued on, and folks are watching in their hotels. There's different spots in D.C. to watch. I'm having a small group in my office. We're trying to accommodate as many as possible. Folks are disappointed that they can't be out with the president-elect in an awesome, patriotic Washington, picturesque setting, but we're going to make the best of it.
Hey, a lot of people want to go to the Super Bowl too. Not everybody can get a ticket. It's not bad from the outside as well. All right, Congressman, thanks again. We appreciate you taking the time.
Good morning.
All right, we'll talk with you soon.